We thank the Lord for bringing us to another junction where we will be meeting with Him even this morning. And today's topic is journeying to destiny. Journeying to destiny. Our text is 1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 3. 1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 3 says, "Now the donkeys of Kish, Saul's father, were lost, and Kish said to his son, 'Please take one of the servants with you, and arise and go and look for the donkeys.'" I repeat, now the donkeys of Kish, Saul's father, were lost, and Kish said to his son Saul, "Please take one of the servants with you, and arise, go and look for the donkeys." The devotion. Our journeys to destiny are not always certain and straightforward. But one thing we do know, God is leading us into His perfect and sovereign plan for our lives. Sometimes it does not seem like our journey is going anywhere, but if we are walking with Him, even our roundabout journey is leading us somewhere in God's definite plan for our lives. Through the ordinary, the painful, and the joyful, we are being led forward. There are some things written in the books of heaven about us that we cannot fully understand or decipher. And there are things God wants to do through us that we currently have no clue about. God has great plans for our lives, plans of good and not of evil. Knowing this should be a great comfort to us, even when we don't understand the landscape of our current journey. Imagine the Israelites standing before the Red Sea and wondering why God would bring them to this place of impossibility. Yet, it was in that place of impossibility that God revealed His power to them. God had a clear plan to take them to the promised land. And God's plan was to display His power through the Red Sea. Our journey may include facing some Red Seas, but we are never alone. In fact, those Red Seas were intentionally put there so that God could reveal Himself to us in new ways. You are on a journey to destiny, just as Saul was. And God will use even your unpleasant circumstances to push you toward your place of blessing. There are specific things written about you, and God will not let you go until He fulfills them in your life. Could God have intentionally caused Saul's father's donkey to be lost? Could God have been the one who put it in Saul's father's heart to send Saul to go look for the lost donkeys, knowing that He, God, had already prepared Samuel to anoint Saul as king? It seemed like God was working out the details of Saul's life, even without Saul's permission, approval, or cooperation. Wasn't that the same thing that happened with David, Saul's successor? It's so beautiful to see that God is working out, in quotes, all things together for our good. It's so encouraging to belong to a God who knows every detail of our lives and is able to lead us into His perfect will for us, even when we don't understand or consciously cooperate. This understanding should give us peace and rest on our life journey. This understanding should give us hope and confidence, even when we journey through the valley of the shadow of death. Even in our blindness and confusion, the secret hand of God is working in the background. He knows where He is taking us. He knows how to get us there. He knows what we will meet on the journey. He has prepared helpers on the way to take us to the next phase. We don't have to understand the details of what God is doing. We simply need to believe that He is working for our good and for His grand purpose, for our lives and for our generation. We are not just insignificant dots in the cosmic plan of the universe. We are fearfully and wonderfully made by the Creator of the universe. And with all His power, He is shaping us and leading us into His best plans for our lives. Hallelujah. This devotion today is very exciting to my heart because it is showing me again the fact that my life has such significance in God's plan. And God is consciously, deliberately leading me in a direction towards the heart of His plans for my life. And the same thing applies to you, that God is working out the details of our lives even without consulting with us. In fact, God is working out the details of the journey of our lives without taking permission from us or without even consciously requesting for our cooperation. This gives us the kind of inner peace, it gives us a kind of inner security that we are not just living our lives as uncontrollable agents in the universe, as a leaf blown by the wind that has no particular destination. No, that's not who we are. We are not a leaf blown by the wind without a destination. We have been marked by the Creator of the universe, and He is taking us on a specific journey, leading us step by step into the destiny He has prepared for us. And on that journey, He is working out all manners of things to glorify Himself, as well as to bring us into the best possible place we should be. As I mentioned in the devotion, it was God's initiative, not the people. It was God's initiative to bring His people out of bondage. And as they journey, God had already seen into the future, of course. God had chosen the specific pathway for them to take. And God knew there was a Red Sea ahead of them. And yet He took them on the journey headed for the Red Sea. Now, that does not look like a God who wants to make things to work for your good, particularly when you know that behind you are your enemies who are trying to destroy you, and in front of you is a Red Sea that is impassable or impossible to cross over by human means. And you seem, if you were in the position of the Jews, it would seem like you were stuck in the middle of an impossible situation. And you could be crying out, if you were with them in the congregation, why on earth did you bring us out of where we were only for us to come and die here? Why didn't you just leave us alone? Why did you do this? sometimes as God leads us on this journey to our promised land, we will face seemingly impossible and impassable situations. And it may look like God is asleep at such moments. It may look like you are abandoned to your fate because in front of you there's no way out, and behind you there's such danger. It looks like a certain death. It looks like certain failure. It looks like there's no other way but, um, facing the inevitable destruction that the enemy has planned for you. But please remember that our lives are chronicled by God. Our lives are patterned by God. Our lives are being led in a particular way for a particular reason in a particular season as part of God's leading us towards our destiny. None of the people of God knew that God had plans to divide the Red Sea. None of them had ever seen the power of God manifested in such a manner. And so, what looked like a certain failure was just another opportunity that God wanted to use to display his glory. It was just another opportunity that God wanted to use to reveal himself to his people. He intentionally, he deliberately brought them to the impossible and impassable Red Sea so that he can show his people another dimension of who he was. So as we journey with him, he may bring us to those junctions, those places that seem impossible, that seem impassable. But he is deliberately leading us. I'm using this word again and again. Deliberately leading us, even to those junctions of conflict, even to those junctions of impossibility, as part of his plan to take us to our promised land. Another illustration in the devotion and from the context is the issue of Saul. I mean, God had already planned that Saul would be the king, the first king of Israel. God had already made that plan so clear. God had outlined all the details. God knew that this man would be the king of Israel. Yet, God had not asked for his permission. God did not discuss this with him. God did not plan this with him. God knew what he had in his own mind for Saul, and God set out to execute that. I can imagine God intentionally leading one of Saul's father's donkey astray, just taking the donkey away to create that crisis in the family. Then God put it in the heart of Saul's father, Kish, to send Saul to go look for the donkey. I mean, Saul didn't have to be the one to go look for the donkey. The servants could have gone to look for the donkey, but God put it in Kish's heart to send Saul and his servant to go and look for the donkey. You see, God was intentionally, deliberately leading, guiding, orchestrating, planning a journey that would take Saul to meet Samuel, where he would be ordained as king. God also prepared Samuel ahead of time that there was someone coming. And when you see him, you will anoint him as the king. Look at the detailed plan. Look at all the detailed plan so that Saul would enter his destiny as king of Israel. Beloved of God, I feel so convinced today that even when I don't understand, God is working out such a beautiful plan for my life. Even when I don't understand, God is orchestrating a beautiful plan for my life and for your life. He is arranging details. He is planning the journey. He is placing helpers along the way. And sometimes he may allow things happen that are uncomfortable, but yet he is planning, he is orchestrating, he is arranging, he is journeying with us on this journey towards our destiny. I don't want you to ever think that you are just by yourself and that God may have withdrawn his hand from you. Even when he is right there, still working out his plan. Even when it seems like the whole world has turned against us, he is there, still working out his plans. Even when it looks like it is over, it is never over until God says it is over. I like the final conclusions. It says that we are not just insignificant dots in the cosmic plan of the universe. We are carefully and fearfully and wonderfully made. He is shaping us and leads in such a way that they are so sure that God is working out the detailed plans of their lives. Every one of you listening to me, as beloved pilgrims, God is working out, using all of his power. God is shaping us. God is leading us into a destiny that he has prepared for us. And I want to say that he does not usually give us the details of the roadmap. And that is the beauty of the unexpected walk with God. Many times, things will happen that he may not have briefed us about. He may not have explained. Like when Paul was arrested, and he's telling the Philippian church, he says that through these my chains, the gospel has been preached and all the palace guards have heard the gospel. It was through chains, it was through imprisonment that Paul was able to still carry out God's mandate for his life among the palace guards. God is never confused about his will for our lives and about the detailed journey he has planned for each one of us. God is never confused. And I don't want us to ever think that he is confused. Saul thought he was looking for a donkey. God was leading him into his destiny. And the moment he got to where God wanted him to do or to be, the news came to him, the donkey that was supposed to be lost had been found. So what was all this about? All this was about getting him to meet with Samuel. All this was about getting him to a place where he would be ordained as king. Let us journey with God in great confidence. Let us journey with God in simplicity. Let us journey with God in faith. Even when we don't understand, even when the Red Sea stands before us, even when it looks like life is a failure, God cannot be defeated. And God is leading you and I on a definite path towards a destiny that he has prepared for us. In this country where I work, there are things that happen. I don't even understand how to respond. I don't know. What should I do? Things seem so impossible. Like we're running this conference right now. We had a seminar, and in my mind, I thought this leadership seminar would just be for maybe a few people, 20, 25 people. I was shocked when over 70 people turned up, senior leaders. The main person who was supposed to speak at the seminar, for some reason, got to the airport and he was refused to fly. They turned him down. It looked like a crisis. It looked like everything was going to flop. And yet, God did not allow that brother to travel so that someone else or some other people would take his place. And it was a glorious meeting. A glorious meeting. That was 2 days ago. Now we've started another series of meetings, a retreat for leaders. And again, each day things are unfolding that we didn't plan for or we didn't understand. Yet the confidence we have is that things are not just happening. The confidence we have is that God is deliberately, intentionally working all these things out for his glory, even when we don't understand, even when he doesn't ask us or tell us what he's doing. He is working out a plan. Please, friends, I want you to go into your days knowing that he is working out his plan. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. And can we just say to him, Lord, lead us into the destiny you have prepared for us. We don't need to be fully aware. We don't need to grant you permission. We don't need even to see the roadmap. Lord, just lead us like you did with Saul and Samuel. Just lead us into what is your best plan for us, and we will follow you even to the end. Can we go to the Lord with that singular prayer? One final prayer I would just ask you to pray is, Lord, please help us on our journey. Place the men and women who need to be ahead of us and who need to help us on this journey to destiny. For the people of Israel, Moses was the man who was placed on the journey. For Saul, Samuel was the man who was placed on the journey. I just pray and say, there are men who you will use to divide Red Seas for us. There are men who you will use to anoint me. Please, Lord, these people, let us make that our final prayer.